My friends, I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now and pay very close attention to what I'm about to share with you, because today, April 4th, 2026, is not just another ordinary Friday. Today, a major rule change from the Social Security Administration officially goes into effect, and if you are receiving Social Security retirement benefits, SSDI, SSI, or VA benefits, this update could directly impact the dollar amount that hits your bank account this month and every single month going forward. I know you've heard that before. I know a lot of people on the internet throw around big words and scary headlines just to get you to click. But I want you to know that I am not here for that. I am here because I genuinely care about you, about your financial security, about your peace of mind. You have worked your entire life, decades of hard work, sacrifice, and paying into this system, and you deserve to know exactly what's happening with your money. So grab a cup of coffee, sit down somewhere comfortable, and let's talk about this together, because what went into effect today is something that every single senior in America needs to fully understand. Let's start at the beginning, because the best way to understand today's changes is to understand what led us here. For the past several years, seniors across this country have been dealing with something deeply frustrating: the feeling that their Social Security checks just aren't keeping up with the real cost of living. You go to the grocery store and a cart full of food costs you twice what it did 5 years ago. Your prescription copays keep creeping up. Your utility bills spike every winter. And every year, the Social Security Administration announces a cost of living adjustment, a COLA, that's supposed to help. But if you've been paying attention, you know that for many of you, that COLA increase felt like it disappeared almost as fast as it arrived. That is exactly the problem that today's rule change is trying to address. And here's how it affects you in real, practical terms. The SSA announced earlier this year that beginning in April 2026, a series of administrative and structural reforms are now officially active. These are not just small tweaks buried in government paperwork. These are meaningful changes that affect payment calculations, overpayment recovery rules, income thresholds for SSI recipients, and, this is a big one, how the agency handles benefit offsets for people who receive both Social Security and certain other forms of government assistance. Let's break every single one of these down in plain language, one by one, so there's no confusion. First, let's talk about the overpayment recovery rule change, because this one has been the source of enormous stress for hundreds of thousands of seniors over the past couple of years. You may remember that back in 2023 and 2024, the SSA began sending out letters to beneficiaries, sometimes older adults who had been receiving benefits for years, telling them they had been overpaid and that the agency intended to recover 100% of that overpayment by withholding their entire monthly benefit check. Can you imagine that? Waking up on payment day and seeing $0 deposited in your account because of an administrative error that wasn't even your fault? That happened to real people. I heard from so many of you about it. It was devastating. Well, I am happy to tell you that as of today, those aggressive 100% withholding practices are officially no longer the default. Under the new rule that went into effect this morning, the SSA is now capped at withholding a maximum of 10% of your monthly benefit when recovering an overpayment, unless there is clear evidence of fraud. So if your monthly Social Security check is $1,900, the most they can take back in any given month is $180. That may still feel uncomfortable, but it is a far cry from having your entire check zeroed out. This change came after enormous pressure from advocacy groups, members of Congress, and frankly, from seniors like you who spoke up and made your voices heard. For anyone currently in an overpayment dispute with the SSA, this is a lifeline. And if you received a letter threatening full withholding, I strongly encourage you to call the SSA directly or reach out to your local Social Security office to have your case reviewed under the new guidelines. Now let's talk about something that directly affects SSI recipients. And if you or someone you love receives supplemental security income, please lean in close for this next part. The SSA has updated the income and asset exclusion rules under the new 2026 framework. Here is what that means in everyday language. Previously, SSI recipients faced extremely strict rules about how much money they could have in savings before their benefits were reduced. The asset limit, which had not been meaningfully updated in decades, was $2,000 for individuals and $3,000 for couples. In 2026 dollars, that is practically nothing. You can't even cover a single medical emergency with that kind of cushion. Under the new administrative guidance active today, the SSA is applying more flexible treatment to certain types of savings vehicles and emergency funds when calculating countable resources. This does not mean the official statutory limit has changed. That still requires an act of Congress. But what it does mean is that the agency is now instructed to apply a broader set of exclusions when reviewing your assets. Things like designated emergency funds set aside specifically for medical purposes and certain state-administered benefit payments are being handled more favorably. If you've been afraid to save even a modest amount of money because you feared losing your SSI, I want you to talk to a benefits counselor in your area to understand exactly how these exclusions may apply to your specific situation. The number to call is 1-800-772-1213, and they can walk you through everything. Let's shift to something that affects a large and often overlooked group. People who receive both Social Security retirement or SSDI benefits and VA disability compensation. If that's you, you've probably run into what's called a benefit offset in the past. This is where receiving money from one program can reduce what you get from another. The interaction between VA benefits and Social Security has always been confusing, and for years, many veterans who earned both were leaving money on the table simply because they didn't understand how the two systems were supposed to work together. Here is the important update. As of today, the SSA has issued new internal processing instructions clarifying how VA individual unemployability payments, also known as IU, are to be treated when calculating Social Security income. For veterans receiving VA IU, which can currently pay up to $3,131.30 per month for a single veteran, the new guidance makes clear that these payments are not to be counted as earned income for the purpose of Social Security disability determinations. This is significant because in the past, some processing errors led to veterans having their SSDI benefits incorrectly reduced or suspended based on VA payments they were receiving. If you are a veteran and you believe your Social Security or SSDI payments were affected by how the SSA was treating your VA income, today is the day to request a formal review. You may be entitled to back pay. Now, my friends, I want to spend a few minutes talking about what so many of you ask me about every single week, the COLA update and what it means for your actual check amount going forward. The 2026 COLA increase of 2.5% went into effect back in January, and for most people, that meant an average increase of somewhere between $48 and $67 per month, depending on your benefit level. If your Social Security check was $1,900 in December 2025, you should now be receiving approximately $1,948 per month. If you were getting $2,200, you're now looking at around $2,255. And for those at the higher end receiving close to the maximum retired worker benefit, which in 2026 is $4,018 per month if you claimed at $70, your check has reflected that adjustment since January. But here's something I want you to double check, and I am being very serious with you right now. Go look at your bank statement or your My Social Security account online. Make sure the amount you are receiving actually reflects that COLA increase. Errors happen, processing mistakes happen, and in a system that handles payments for over 72 million Americans, some people fall through the cracks. If you look at your January and February and March deposits, and they look exactly the same as they did in December 2025, something may be wrong and you should call the SSA immediately. You are owed that money. Let me also address something that many seniors worry about, but not enough people talk about openly: the tax implications of your Social Security income. I know taxes are not the most exciting topic, but this is your money we're talking about, and I want to make sure you're not giving any more of it away than you legally have to. Here is the current reality. If your combined income, or that's your adjusted gross income plus any non-taxable interest plus half of your Social Security benefit, is between $25,000 and $34,000 as an individual, up to 50% of your Social Security may be taxable at the federal level. If your combined income exceeds $34,000, up to 85% of your benefit could be subject to federal income tax. For married couples filing jointly, those thresholds are $32,000 and $44,000 respectively. Now here's the smart strategy piece. If you have not yet spoken with a tax professional or a Social Security benefits advisor about managing your income in retirement, this is the year to do it. There are legal strategies. Things like managing the timing of IRA withdrawals, being thoughtful about when you take capital gains, and potentially shifting certain income into tax-advantaged accounts that can help some retirees reduce the amount of their Social Security that gets taxed. Not everyone will qualify for every strategy, but the point is, you should know your options. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to keeping more of your hard-earned benefits in your own pocket. Before I wrap up today, I want to talk directly to those of you who are on SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, because there are some updates in the 2026 framework that are especially relevant to you. The substantial gainful activity threshold, the amount you're allowed to earn from work while still receiving SSDI without triggering a review, has been updated for 2026. The new SGA amount is $1,720 per month for non-blind individuals and $2,700 per month for individuals who are blind. If you have been wanting to test the waters with part-time work but were afraid of losing your disability benefits, understanding this threshold is critical. You are allowed to earn up to that amount without automatically jeopardizing your SSDI. And remember, the SSA also has a trial work period provision that lets you test your ability to work for up to 9 months while still receiving full benefits, giving you a real safety net as you explore your options. Also, if you are on SSDI and you have been receiving benefits for 24 months or more, you are now eligible for Medicare. And under the 2026 Medicare updates, the standard Part B premium is $185 per month. That premium is typically deducted directly from your Social Security or SSDI payment, so if you've noticed your net deposit is slightly lower than your stated benefit amount, that is likely why. Make sure you understand what you're paying for and what your coverage includes, because there may be extra help programs or Medicare savings programs available in your state that can reduce or even eliminate those premiums entirely. My friends, I want to close with this. I know it can feel overwhelming sometimes. The letters, the numbers, the changes, the rules that seem to shift every time you turn around. But I need you to hear me when I say this. You are not alone in this. There are resources available to you, there are advocates fighting for you, and there are people like me who will keep showing up every single week to break all of this down in language that makes sense. The changes that went into effect today are significant. The overpayment rule is a victory for seniors. The updated SSI guidance is a step forward. The veteran benefit clarification is long overdue. And understanding your COLA, your taxes, and your SGA limits puts you firmly in the driver's seat of your own financial future. If you found today's update helpful, please share this video with someone you love. A spouse, a sibling, a neighbor, anyone who might be affected by these changes and doesn't know about them yet. And if you have questions about your specific situation, drop them in the comments below. I read every single one. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and remember, you earned these benefits and you deserve every single dollar.